Growing up in the suburban town of Wethersfield, Connecticut, in the late 1950s, the three children of Robbins and Meg Barstow became interested in the history of our country. Young Daniel wanted to learn about the Native Americans who inhabited this land before it was taken over by white settlers from Europe. Mary became interested in the American Revolution, when the colonists fought for and won their independence from Great Britain. David focused his attention on the future and the possibilities which rockets held for expanding human exploration into the heavens. So in 1954, we bought a large camping tent, which we used as a means for traveling around the country to visit historic sites and natural wonders during summer vacations, combining the fun of camping with learning about America's past and present. We thought friends and neighbors might be interested in our family travel adventures, so we took home movies of our trips and put on neighborhood movie shows when we returned each year. That was half a century ago. And now in the year 2000, when I'm 81 years old, I have transferred to video the 16mm movies which I took on all these summer camping trips, so that we could bring back some of those memories for our family and interested friends. It was really quite an extraordinary goal that we set for ourselves. We wanted to see parts of the country that we'd read about in magazines and seen pictures of and heard about other people going, but we knew there was no way that we could see the United States unless we found an inexpensive means of travel and staying overnight, which seemed to have as an answer camping, getting a tent. So we decided that we'd see whether or not we could make out as a family of 5 in a big tent. And the first couple of summers when we were involved in working out these plans, that's what we did. We tried out the tent to see if that was the way to go. We had moved into our new home in Wethersfield in 1951, just after Daniel was born, and for several years we enjoyed backyard picnicking and vacationing around home. But in 1954, we undertook a new approach to summer fun. Some friends of ours had gone camping in tents and found this kind of recreation to be both enjoyable and inexpensive. After considerable research, we decided to order a large tent ourselves from Sears Roebuck. The tent had to be big enough to provide sleeping quarters for a family of 5. It was an exciting family event when it finally arrived at our front door. We decided to try setting up the tent for the first time in our own backyard. And of course, everyone wanted to participate in the big project. We wanted to see how fast we could get it spread out on the ground and then mounted on the tall 2-sectioned tent poles. The tent had a canvas floor and a mosquito net screen door in the front, as well as screened side walls for ventilation. We found that there was room in it for 3 single sleeping bags and 1 double bag to be laid out, as well as space to change clothes. So we went on our first tent excursion to a Connecticut public campground on the shore of Long Island Sound, where we shared common facilities with other campers. At Rocky Neck State Park, we spent several nights in the tent there, and we enjoyed days sunning ourselves on the beautiful sandy beach and being refreshed by the cool, salt ocean water. Daniel was just being introduced to the sea. And David had learned that it was easier to float in salt water than in fresh. We ate lunch in the nearest shade outside our tent. After this fun time in Connecticut, we decided next to venture further afield and go out of state to a public campground up in New Hampshire, which some friends had recommended to us. It was White Lake State Park. We set the tent up there among the trees, using the trunk of our car for a pantry and storage space. We camped out there for a whole week and found that families in neighboring campsites were invariably friendly and fun to share activities with. One night we had heard a noise and shined our flashlight on a masked visitor who turned out to have been a raccoon, as evidenced by tiny footprints in the dirt outside our tent flap. Before moving to Wethersfield, our family had lived in Niantic, Connecticut, where Robbins had taught school. Two of his former teaching colleagues, Ed and Jerry Randler, stopped by to visit us at this campsite, which was especially fun because Jerry had been Mary's first-grade teacher. On our way home from this trip, we enjoyed riding a ski-mobile up to the top of New Hampshire's Mount Cranmore, from which we had a fantastic view of New England hills and countryside. It was scarier riding the cars down than up. We also stopped at Benson's Wild Animal Farm in Hudson, New Hampshire, to view unfamiliar animals like this haughty camel, and where the children were able to experience the thrill of going for a ride on top of a huge Indian elephant. The following summer, we tried camping out on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, crossing the canal bridge and driving in our 5-seater car with a travel rack on the roof to Ronald C. Nickerson State Forest Park, located on the elbow of the Cape, where we had reserved a campsite, this time for 2 weeks. Meg had now made by hand a distinctive, colorful Davy Crockett jacket with white fringes on the arms and pockets for each member of the family. These special jackets became our standard travel outfits for all our camping excursions. We took great pride and joy in them. They served as an identifying family symbol and bond wherever we went. Our individual names were embroidered on the back of each jacket. Danny, David, Mary, Meg, and Rob. We set up our big tent and other camping paraphernalia, including a Coleman stove for cooking outdoor meals, in a nice wooded spot for an extended stay. As always, neighboring campers were very friendly and helpful, often sharing fruit juice and other refreshments. This was the year that Walt Disney's Davy Crockett television program was wildly popular, and all the kids wore coonskin caps. One story was that when Davy was